Right off
What
the
a
bat.
start.
I'm not even
And we
lying.
done.
I have my suitcase.
That boy got his toothbrush.
Hey, that nigga soft launch moving in with his girl.
I ain't gonna lie, it tweaked my ego a lot. Like,
He said long division.
All right, welcome to another episode of the podcast. My name is Reg.
I'm Ham.
Wadley.
Reem.
Hey, and man, today we're really excited what we got to talk about. But how is everybody doing, man? I just want to check in with y'all first before we get into it. How's everything going for y'all?
Perfect. Today was a great day for me. We was able to onboard a new employee. So we got a new employee on our team.
Let's
We're
get
doing
it.
actually doing an event right now, and I'm just blessed enough to be with my brothers. You feel me? They saying when you create a business, you got to remove yourself from the business. Otherwise, it ain't a business.
No, that's good, bro.
That's a gym. Automate.
That's good, man.
Automate and scale. I love that.
That's good. Yeah, like you said, like it's not a business if you're away from the business and it can't run itself.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, my day went great, man. I had a shoot earlier today.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. The couple had a lot of good energy and I enjoyed it. So, left the shoot, came straight here, man, and
Here we at
I'm
it
here with
again.
my brothers, man. I love it.
I love
we
it.
back again.
I love it, man. I was thinking about some of the conversations we've had in the past, and I remember something that this man said, and I loved it. He said, "Man, I told myself I was gonna get married at 25, and I got
did.
married at 25,
I did.
which is huge.
I did.
So that made me think, like, what age did y'all feel like y'all wanted to get married at?
So I've always wanted to be married, but I didn't know how long it would take to get there. I didn't have an age. I didn't know when I wanted to happen. Here's what I did know. I knew that I needed money. I couldn't marry no woman
Without no bread.
Money's important.
without no bread. So my main goal or my main, kind of vision was if I'm gonna get married,
Yeah.
I need to make sure that when I take this woman out of their house or out of their parents' house, that there's no way in hell she's going back. You know what I'm saying? So that was my biggest thing. As I grew and got older, I realized I saw the dynamic of how my mom and my dad do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they both work, they do everything together. And I'm like, you know what? I want the same thing, but when it's my time, she ain't going back. Once she's gone, she's gone.
I respect that.
So I didn't know what age I would do it. I didn't know when I would do it. I just knew that I needed money. And the funny thing is, when we got married, I had no money.
Broke as a Jew.
Plot twist.
I had no
I
money.
feel like we was. I know I was broke when we got married, but continue.
But I'm
continue.
saying, like,
Yeah,
I was
for
broke
sure.
too.
No, for sure.
I think we all.
we was all broke.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
But I knew that I wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I knew that I didn't want anybody else to have her. I knew that was my soulmate. I knew that Brittany was the person for me, and I couldn't do life without her.
Locked in.
I also had a vision of how my wife would look, how her personality would be, and things of that nature. And that goes all back to saying I just didn't know when it would happen. I didn't really bring girls home either like that. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't serious, my mom not meeting you. You know what I'm saying? So Brittany was like probably like the only one that I like I'm like, yo, this is the one.
Mom,
So
the one.
and Haitian parents, they be like, I knew it. I had a dream. Blah 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 blah. Bro, when I
Had a
told
dream.
when I went to go sit down and I talked to my mom about it, and I said, Mom, I'm dating somebody. We've been dating for a little minute, and and I had a picture of Brittany. Brittany gave me a picture. I was holding on to this picture. She was, and I gave the picture to my mom. My mom said, "Don't show me the picture. I don't want to see it. I'm gonna tell you how she looks."
Wow.
My mom explained to me how Brittany looked from like head to toe. And I was like,
Interesting.
that bit weird.
That's wild.
Interesting.
And then after she finished explaining how, Brittany looked and her personality, then I gave her the picture. You know what she said? She looked at the picture and she said, that's the
That's
one.
her. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So,
Great way to
yeah,
start.
I
man.
think
show.
I love that because it's like right.
Wow.
right off
What
the
a
bat.
start.
Hey, I'm not gonna
Hey,
lie.
we done.
I'm not gonna lie. None of us talking about marriage.
Right.
this,
Hey.
this nigga got
Hey,
it.
saying that you were the one I always wanted.
Babe, I love you.
That's it. Yeah.
No, but what I love about what you talked about is I think a lot of men I think can relate to dating women and trying to understand, is this the person that they want to settle with? And I think a part of your story, what you shared, highlights how your mother, who represents your childhood, your upbringing, your background, your foundation, confirmed what you were looking for was in agreement with that. And so I guess for what else was it in the relationship with Brittany that helps you decide that, you know what, I'm gonna make a move on this one. Well, how for the men that's out there that's trying to do the same thing?
There's a show out there that's called Love at First Sight. I'm not gonna say that I don't believe in love at first sight, but okay. So when I saw Brittany, I'm like, I wasn't in love with her, right? I'm like, man, if I ever wanted a wife, she would be the one. So I don't know how you would translate that to, whatever. But I'm like, if I ever wanted a wife, that would be the one. Believe it or not, I also saw like how she like interacted. The first time I saw Brittany, she was interacting with other people. She was joking around with her friends. She was smiling, bro, beautiful smile. Her hair was beautiful. She was like, laughing and having a good time. I'm
You
like,
was in
man,
love at first
That,
sight.
hey, that boy was in love.
I mean, the way he's describing it,
He was in
that's
love at first sight.
I don't. He said first time I seen her.
and he said, I don't really believe in love at first sight, but when I saw her, I love that at first sight.
Man, long story short, man, once I saw Britt, man, I was like, man, if I can have anybody, if anybody could be my wife, that would be the one. And then over time, man, we
That's
started
beautiful, man.
dating. Bro, she has a beautiful heart, bro. She's loving, she's caring.
Wow.
It's everything that I've ever wanted in a woman.
I
And
love
she
that,
has,
bro.
and She
Wow.
has all of them.
That's beautiful.
It's funny because I have I'll be on Twitter. Y'all know. Okay, so for y'all to understand of the group, I am a social media fiend. Okay, Twitter and TikTok.
Twitter and
Tap me in.
TikTok.
Yeah, tap me in.
That's in your blood.
It's in my blood. So I'll be on Twitter, and there's always this rhetoric, this thing where for women, a lot of times, how can I say? A lot of times women are in situations where they're trying to change a man or prove themselves, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And I think for men, we know when we know. I mean, I feel
Absolutely.
like that's the story that you said, and
For sure.
I know for me that's part of my story. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel like when a man knows, I do agree with that. I think when a man knows, he knows. I know, but for me, like I'd be lying here to be like sitting here and be like, yeah, I've been you, like, because for me everything kind of tied to finance.
Yeah.
Like we were joking earlier that we got married broke. Like I thought to get married you had to have like your own house. You got to be sitting good. So to me, I ain't have it. So although I knew she was the one, I kind of was like, it ain't time for her to be the one. I ain't ready. So like I'm just kind of out here waiting. But but that's just not how the dominoes played out. Like the situation came. It was when we got married. It was kind of like I kind of felt like I was served the ultimatum, but like it was my decision at the end of the day. So and we did like this 12-week course. So it was kind of tough. But with that being said, with us saying like I knew, I still kind of felt like I rushed or like we rushed into it.
I think that's real because it's like kind of what you're
That's valid.
Like what you're saying is like on the other side of that, some women feel like I've been with him for so long and he's not making a move. Sometimes we know that you're who we want to be with, but for us as men, a part of us getting ready to get married is the financial piece. And if that's not ready, then I'm not ready to be a husband.
Yep.
I feel like that's real too.
Before we got married, we dated for 6 years, right? But for some women, that may be too long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I knew if I got married at like 22, bro, it would have been like rougher. You know what I'm saying? It would have been rough. You know what I'm saying? But I knew around like year 2, year 3, Brittany was ready for that ring. But I wasn't ready, bro. Like I knew if I took Brittany out of her house, it was gonna be rough, bro. And I think I would have been doing more damage than good. So like, for women out there that's like, oh my man taking too long, blah blah. Sometimes I just feel like you really just gotta wait it out. If that's the person that you want to be with, then that's the person you want to be with. There's a time for everything. Everybody has their cap and stuff like that.
I mean,
Some women are
yeah.
waiting like 8, 9, 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I always told Brittany, I said, babe, I want to be with you. But like right now, year 2, year 3, it's just not the right time right now to get married. We're not ready.
Right.
Yeah, and to like pick like to touch upon that, like when I said earlier, like I kind of feel like I was served an ultimatum. It's because my wife and I we got serious in like 2018, and within 2 years we're married.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, like January of 2020, I didn't even know if I was gonna propose that year. So by the end of the year to be married, like that's what was playing in the back of my mind because I had this facade that okay, this has to be to get married you gotta be there like 5, 6 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
7, 8.
In your head,
Maybe
you're
10.
thinking that, right? Yeah.
I thought I needed $100K in the bank before I get married.
I was like,
Yeah.
you got to be together for a long time to
Yeah.
get married. So
Yeah.
like to me, I kind of feel like we was it was the time thing.
The time
I was
aspect.
like, we don't have enough time together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not true at all.
Yeah.
Right? Because like we've been married 3 years. If we didn't get married, I think we could have been playing house.
Yeah.
This whole time. Like we could have just been like, yeah, we're gonna get married. We're gonna get married. We're gonna wait when we got enough money for the wedding. We'll
Yeah.
get married.
Right.
Or when we have enough money for. And
Whatever.
the thing is, you'll never have enough money.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll never have enough of anything. Yeah. I guess that's like societal pressures, right? Like you're supposed to get married by this age. You're supposed to have this much. You're supposed to make this amount of income or what have you.
Yeah.
But everybody's season is their season.
Yeah.
Like you can't base your journey with your spouse based on somebody else's journey,
Facts.
because it's not the same.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own DNA in a sense. Like when I decided to get married to Sandy, like you said, you just know. You just kind of know. I was sitting in my car and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna text her best friend and we're gonna make this happen.
Wow.
I don't have the funds to create the wedding that I think would be the wedding of her dreams or what have you. But I know right now, in this moment, I want to marry her. So even if we had a smaller wedding right now or whatever, I just know that I wanted to have that covenant with her right now. And we can have that big wedding later or what have you. It just so happened that, I was in the midst of also quitting my job and things were picking up for our business, and I really like grinded it out, and we were able to fund the wedding that we think was of our dreams at the time. So it's really a matter of like your personal journey with that person and not worrying about like what's the society's standard of when you should get married, because I knew in that moment I wanted to marry her. I didn't care how much the ring costs, all that good stuff. I can get a ring, whatever. I just needed a ring to put on her finger right now. I'll get her dream ring later. Marriage is not about the materialistic things or whatever like society puts on you. It's you knowing that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with that person.
That's crazy.
So,
And I love what you're saying. And I'll share some from my personal experience as well. But I love how passionate, even when you're talking right here, I love how passionate you're coming off about you knowing that you wanted to be with Sandy. And I love the way you love her, bro. That shit, so excuse my language, that it's elite. Like I remember your birthday. Remember his birthday, we took him out. We had a good time that day.
That's a good
my
day.
30th, yep.
Yep. We
Yep,
showed up.
yep.
We showed up to the restaurant and
Yep. By the way, sorry.
No.
Y'all, real quick, y'all really took care of me that day, by the way. I don't think y'all realize it, but like I literally was just like going with the flow.
Yeah.
I was just like, what we doing? Y'all told, hey, put this tie on and like put this shirt. I was like,
we got
what?
dressed
We got dressed in the parking lot.
Bro, I was like, what is happening?
listen.
I was confused. I went from a like gym shorts to
yeah.
a whole tuxedo. Like,
So I remember.
So appreciate y'all.
We was in downtown Hollywood, and his wife said, "Y'all, let's plan a day for him. I'm gonna drop him off. He don't know what's going on." And she already prepped and gave us dinner clothes for him in one of the trunks. So we axe throwing, we drinking, we sneak in tequila because that's what we do. We drinking
in a wine bottle.
mind you, with axe throwing, right?
Axe
in a
throwing.
wine bottle. That was crazy. Like,
That's-
and who was drinking it like wine too? Dangerous.
That's risky.
So we're doing we're having a
was
good
a good
time.
Good time.
It was good. We gotta do it again. And we go to the park and we say, "Hey, Reem, get undressed, throw this on." He was like, "Sure, cool, all right." Like no, he was like, "Whatever." And so what I was getting to is I remember we pulled up to the birthday dinner, and we're at Smith and Webster, great restaurant down there in Miami, black
Fire.
owned. I know we probably not supposed to do free promo, but check that spot out. Biscuits are incredible. We're at the restaurant down there, and Reem does his birthday speech, and it was in honor of Sandy.
Yeah.
The whole time.
And
Yep.
so anytime you speak about your wife, bro, it inspires me because there's so much reverence, respect, love, and just honor that you have for her. So I guess when you guys were dating, what were some of the things or the experiences that you had in those moments that helped you or made you fall in love with her to that capacity or helped you understand that, yo, this is
the one.
this is my queen.
Whew, man, that's a great question, man. I think one of the biggest things was that like being with her made me realize how selfish I was. Because of how unselfish she is.
That's huge.
Like she literally pours her heart out to other people and including me. Like she'll make sure that you're good before she is. And I think that was one of the biggest things that resonated with me. And it's just everything else, man. Like she literally changed my life in every aspect. Like when it comes to my health,
Yeah.
I was eating like crazy. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Like I ain't care what I ate.
You was kinda
long as I was fat. Yeah, I was pretty big. So yeah. I don't know. It's just every aspect about her is what attracted me to her.
Yeah.
And I knew she was the one. It was just a matter of time before I proposed.
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
I remember, so my wife, Sophie, very beautiful girl. I remember I took her for our first date. So mind you, I forgot who said this joke. So the way I met Sophie was in church. So for those that don't know, I was very involved in church leader and everything like that. And so we met when we were like 15, 16. And I just want to say this for factual purposes. She liked me first. It's just a fact.
Would she say this as well?
We could put her on camera right now.
Okay. I'm just making sure she
I
was
ain't
saying the
making
same
it
thing.
up. It's
All right,
on-
go ahead.
it's on
continue.
record.
Continue.
It's official record. So yeah, but this is young stupid stuff.
Call Sophie.
Oh no, bro. Sophie shared a picture of you in middle school, bro. You sure she like
That's
you?
crazy.
Hey,
That's wild.
Whoever edits this, put the picture up, okay?
That's
put it up
crazy.
right here. I was pulled in looking like that, okay? I want to pause and tell y'all something. Listen, for the people that have personality, okay, you had to be ugly, okay? Ugly faces treat you how to have personality, bro.
So it's not always about looks.
I was pulled in like that. Crazy. And
Wow.
put a picture of my wife up. Anyways, we get back to it. But I was.
That's good that you can talk about yourself like that, though. That's
Yeah,
good, bro.
yeah.
I'm glad you know it.
You know, you know it. You know.
I want to keep going, but there's so many segues I got for that
Right,
stuff.
right.
Because our wives be killing us.
Keep going.
But yeah, so Sophie, in high school we had both went on this like youth camp experience, and we had a conversation, real deep conversation. Anybody who knows me knows I talk, and when I get into conversation, I can go get really deep. And so we had a deep conversation, and she had told her friends, oh man, I'm kind of digging this guy, whatever. At that time, I was like 15, 16. I knew for myself that I'm not gonna be in a relationship right now. It doesn't make sense. I remember when I was younger, I talked to my dad. I said, Pops, how did you land on being with mom? Hey, I'm Haitian, so I said, Daddy, how did you know you wanted to marry mommy? That's how Haitians talk, right?
That's real.
Daddy, mommy. And so he said, anybody who knows my dad, he's the smoothest man I know. He said, Reg,
Real dad is so cool, bro.
well, cool. He said, Reg, there was a lot of women that were interested in me. But I saw in your mother somebody who could be a great wife and a great mother.
Yeah.
And so that's how I knew that I was gonna marry your mother. And so for me, that resonated with me. I was 8, 9 years old. That resonated with me. And so ever since then, every time I would approach women, kind of like what you said, I'm looking at, can I see you being a great wife and a great mother?
From
So,
eight,
that's a good
9 years
point,
old.
bro.
That's amazing.
But that's the
a good point.
impact of a father teaching
Yeah.
you the way.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
and
a
so
great point.
so I'm 16 years old. Me and Sophie connect. I knew I wasn't ready to actually entertain a real relationship. Yeah, so it was whatever. Like we're cool. Then in college, she was taking anatomy. One of the few times she took anatomy, and I think she's taking chemistry as well. We were cool at this time, and she came to study. She also had class with my buddy, and then me and my buddy were talking. He's like, oh, "I heard you you were tutoring Sophie." And I was like, yeah. And I was like, hey, bro, you peep Sophie getting fine as hell out here, bro?
That's what your friend said?
No, I said it to him.
You said,
you said
okay,
that
okay,
to him.
Because
okay.
after I tutored her, I was like, she left my house. I was like, man, I was gonna have to do something to that girl because she
Right.
getting kind of nice.
Right.
Mind you,
Gotta teach you something else.
mind you though,
More than
that
anatomy.
long division. You hear me?
Some multiplication, you understand?
was a long division.
Long division.
listen, I'm sorry.
He said long division.
I gotta comb myself. So
Wow.
so
Wow, that was
I'm
good.
actually crying. So
That's the promo right there. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the promo. Long division. Hey, learn your math, kids.
Long division.
Wow.
oh man, don't get me started on
Bro,
that
that's a
route.
stand-up line, bro.
Wow, that was good, bro.
I got a whole notepad
All right,
section.
bro.
All right,
This
keep it
nigga.
going. Keep it going. So I had tutored her and I was like, bro, she's fine. So then mind you, at this time though, I was a leader in church and Sophie was in my group. So I was her leader. I was one of her spiritual leaders. Not saying that I was her, but like
Right,
in
right.
the organization.
Right.
And so one day I had said, I did this with every one of the members of my group. I checked on everybody. So we went to lunch with the Cheddars down there in Fort Lauderdale.
Why you say cheddar's like?
Cheddars.
Cheddar's was a spot, man.
Where's the spot, bro?
That mac and cheese slapped.
The biscuits is pretty good too.
You sound so black. Go
Anyways,
ahead, keep
so
going.
we went to Cheddar's and we talked, and I was talking to her. I was like, I'm looking at this young woman who's hands down one of the most beautiful women I've seen in my life. Yeah. And usually for me, and maybe this is me, in my immaturity, I'm used to beautiful women having a certain personality and being a certain way about themselves. And I'm talking to her, and she's talking about her ambitions, personally, professionally, spiritually. And I'm like, damn, she's fine and she's got a good head on her shoulders. So then at that point, I was like, all right, you know what? I was like, let me take her out. So we went on our first date.
How'd you segue from leadership in the disciple group, just taking out one of your members,
Yeah.
right? To, hey, can we go on a date?
I think that's a good question. It's funny because especially in the church community, a lot of guys are hesitant or shy around how they approach a woman. I approached her very directly. I said, I want to take you out. And so
And you let her know this is not about no Bible talk.
my energy was clear. I was like,
I want
because we had just
I want to get to know you.
yeah, I had just took her out to talk about like life, but I was like, hey, I want to take you out type, you know, like, and I think she understood what it was. So we went on that first date. It's Bubba Gump. It's an outside restaurant, and you know, she had her makeup done and everything. And this is my favorite story. One of my favorite stories. We're sitting there talking, and her eyebrows start running because she's sweating. Most girls would be so embarrassed on a date.
Yeah.
I go, hey, sorry to cut you off, but your makeup's running. She's mid-story. She just takes her hand, mid-story, continues to talk, wipes her stuff off, gets a napkin, wipes it off, continues talking.
Yo, she a G.
Not only is she a G, for me, I represented how humble she is. Because to me, a lot of times, like I said, with my expectation with a woman that beautiful, she's obsessed with her looks.
Yeah.
To be on a date with somebody that you are potentially trying to suit and present yourself to, and I had to call it out like, hey, your makeup's running, and she just wiped off, kept talking. I was like, bro, this chick is, bro. That type of character is somebody that, one, could go through the highs and lows because they're not too much about themselves.
Right.
But two, it showed me the humility that she had, even as beautiful as she was. So from that moment, I was like, bruh,
Bro, that's good.
it's a
That's
wrap.
good, bro.
It's a wrap.
That's real.
And then transitioning to what we're talking about with marriage, for me, it's a little different. And there's something that you talked about that I want to hit on. I remember you said, the words you said were, if I take her out this house, I'm not going to bring her back.
She ain't going.
That was
She ain't going
powerful.
back.
Too.
That was powerful.
That was powerful.
And for my story, as much as I respect that, my story is different. Because I know we talked about it in a different episode. We talked about preparing, you know, buying the house, preparing, and how in your situation, before you got married, you guys moved back into your mother's.
Right.
So for me and my wife, the first year of getting married, after we got married, we moved out.
Right.
But then COVID hit and some other situations hit, and we decided it was better to move into her mother's house.
Yeah.
Right.
Anybody who's Haitian understands that that's a no-no in our culture. As me as the man going back into my wife's parents' house, right, her mother's house. And
It's a certain level of it's a certain level of humility and self-discipline to say, let's go back and build this thing together, as opposed to being stubborn.
And that's, to me, that's why I love what you said about that. It's just like, you can't do stuff for what people think, what people see.
Right.
You know what I mean? It has to be about what's best for you, what's best for your family, best for your situation.
Right.
But yeah,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think that does to a man's ego, moving back into your mother's-in-law or your mom's house as a married guy now?
And I'll speak from a personal perspective. I think for me, it's challenging because even as I sit right here, me and my wife talk about it all the time, it would be a struggle for me to have a kid without moving out.
Yeah.
Because when I'm bringing a child into this world, I need to bring him to my place.
Yeah.
Ego.
Yeah.
That's going to be my place. There's, especially being from my culture, as a Haitian man, that's not something you do.
Yeah.
To take your wife and move her back into her mother's house. Yeah. And so even when it comes to dealing with my parents and how they view that, it's challenging.
Yep.
What made it easier was that, so Sophie's parents aren't together. And so if, for instance, if Sophie's father was in the picture, my ego, I would never have done that. For sure. I physically couldn't have done it. But it does challenge me. It does challenge my ego, and it makes me have to take a step back and say, hey, your ego's looking at it from the outward view, but you need to look at it from the inward. For you and your wife, you and your household, what is best for you? Yeah. And in this economy, in this market, it is very difficult to buy a house.
Right.
So this is the best thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And so that's all we're sticking with.
I think the best advice for any man, even, like, you have to do what's best for you and your wife. I strongly believe when you get married, nobody's opinion matters. If you and your wife doesn't agree, or if you and your wife are not seeing eye to eye, that's between you and your wife. Nobody's opinion matters. If you have to move in back into your parents' house or whatever the case is, if that's best for you and your wife, and that's going to keep you guys together, then you should do that. Especially if you keep it between you two. Nobody got to know what you got going on.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like our world, like, you got to tell people everything that you're doing.
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
it's you and your
Say,
wife.
who gonna check you?
Exactly. Nobody gotta know, bro.
Yeah.
Your mom or your dad don't gotta know.
Yeah.
This is what you guys are gonna do. That's the decision.
Remember early on when I was dating Faith, like Faith was staying on campus, and I worked at FAU, which is in Boca. Faith went to Lynn, which is in Boca, and I lived in Riviera. Something happened, a roommate thing fell through, so
Story for another episode.
right. But man, like I've never been. I know a lot of now. I know a good amount of men that's actually done the thing of like living like they got married and they moved in with the parents. And on the outside of that, they then bought a house. They're doing way so much better. And the thing is, like, if you just nip your ego in the butt for a little bit, it can go so far. I never did that, but one thing that I did do was that season when I was working at the school, I didn't want to commute 30, 40 minutes. It was like 40 minutes. I didn't want to do the 40-minute drive.
Yeah.
So I just like, one day I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna crash. And that one day, I'm talking about some, bro. Within 2 weeks, my suitcase. I have my suitcase.
That boy got his toothbrush.
Hey,
There now.
hey, that nigga soft launch moving in with his girl. I'm
Soft
crash.
launch?
He's soft launching. I'm gonna crash at the crib.
Bro, I'm
Hey,
2 weeks later.
Unofficially, you know.
But here's my thing, though.
Closet and
Man.
all.
If I can relate somewhat to what y'all went through, because to me, like, I was done with college. I was graduating. I was working, somebody would say a big boy job, you know, because you had a corporate job. And I remember, like, I'd be leaving work and I'm like pulling into my home, which is on campus. Like, it was crazy to me.
The way
And
you
like,
making that sound is crazy.
bro, it was crazy to me, dog. And I
Hey,
ain't
did he even drive to work? He was working on campus, right?
No, I did drive because I worked on another campus.
Oh, I was gonna say you.
But the thing is, but at the end of the day, like, I ain't gonna lie, it tweaked my ego a lot. Like, like to me, I was like, damn, bro, like you really, like you pulling up on these jets, bro. Like, what's up? What's like really good with you?
Yeah.
But in that season,
Hey, what's up with you?
though, I was able to clear. Like, I remember I started the year off because it was like I started the year off in January. I was like, hey, you know what? This year, by the end of the year, I want to pay off my credit card bill. I think I had like almost a $5,000 credit card bill.
Yeah.
Listen, March came, bill was cleared. I had no rent. She wasn't charging me nothing. Listen, it worked out. It worked out for me, dog. It worked out for me, and that situation right there probably made me love her more too.
That's nice.
Because like that was like early on in our relationship, and I was like, and it like after that I was like, bro, like I gotta take this girl under my wing. Like I gotta make sure she's straight. I gotta make sure she Gucci. Because that little season right there for me,
He
like
held you down, bro.
she held me down without
Word.
like to her. She didn't even think she was holding me. To her, she was like, I'm just so happy he's want to be around me. To me, I'm like, listen.
How she said it? I'm sorry.
I'm just so happy he want to be around me.
I love how
Got
you
it.
depict Faith every time.
Right.
It's always so.
The way he acts her out is
Yeah.
it's like I love it.
That
Yeah.
means-
Faith,
I love
Faith,
beautiful.
hey, you held me down, girl. I appreciate you. You feel me?
that's
So,
what's up.
I a lot of times I think back on my situation, and I have mixed feelings, obviously, right? I'm like, man, I could have done things different to where, you know, blah blah blah. But I remember we said when we all got married was broke. When me and Sophie got married, bro, we together, I think we're making like less than a third of what we're making right now when we first got married.
absolutely.
Less than a third. Less than a third, bro. And so at that time when we got married, man, one of the things that really inspired me to get married was my values and how I was brought up in church. And so I know all of us have some type of connection spiritually, and I'll speak shortly on mine. Like I said, when I met Sophie, she was one of the people that was in my group. But for me, growing up in the church, me and Sophie both did value the concept of waiting till marriage. And I'm gonna keep it a hundo with you guys, okay? Not having sex will make a nigga want to get married.
people in the church get married there.
And listen, I feel like that could be a whole
Another
topic, a whole episode. But that was that. Don't get me wrong. And if I could live a million times over, I'd marry Sophie a million times over. Yeah, she's easily the best things that happened in my life. Yeah. Even within that, I can understand the context that for me, one of the driving factors for me was I wanted to live a life that at that time I felt would honor God. And so that's why I was like, you know what, when I was 22, 23, I said, you know what? Because I got married at 24.
Right.
I was 22, 23. I said, yo, I got to settle down. I got to get off these streets. I got to stop being a city boy. I got to settle down.
Word.
And so I guess for you guys, what was, because I feel like you said 25. I got married at 24. You got married 20, was that 26? 25 as well, actually.
26.
25, 26.
26. Yeah.
26, and you were.
I think I was 23,
23.
24,
Wow.
23, 24. I think 24.
So if you guys could just hop in and tell me, like, what was it that drove you from a value perspective to say, you know what, I want to get married at this age?
It wasn't a thing of this age for me because I didn't know I was going to get married at this age.
Yeah.
I just knew from a value standpoint, Faith and I was about to move in together. And when I told my dad, Faith and I was about to move in together. So I called my dad to tell him that we're about to move in together. And I was like, hey, well, you know what? Like, I want to honor God, so I'm gonna propose.
Yeah.
Because like on social media, you see a lot of people propose and then they move in together. They be engaged for
2,
years.
3, 4 years. That's what you trying to do?
You trying to follow that template?
You felt I was trying to follow
Yeah.
the template, and he was like, "Well, he was like, why are you proposing to her? Like, do you see her? Do you see her as the one for you?" I was like, "Yes." He was like, "So why don't you just marry her? Like, what is this whole propose thing?" My dad's Haitian. I guess in Haiti, there's no propose and then engagement. It's like, hey, I want to marry you. Let's get married.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my dad was like, just honor her, and he was like, yo, if you gonna propose, you might as well just get married. I spoke to her dad. He was kind of barking the same thing, and they're two completely different people. Like you feel me? Two completely different backgrounds, but they were barking the same thing. And I was like, hey, you know, if
Yeah.
I mean, same thing from similar. I didn't, like I mentioned before, I didn't know what age I wanted to get married. I just knew Brittany was the one at the time.
Yeah.
We've been dating for 6 years already. And I just knew that I didn't want to do life with anybody else. I just want to do life with her. I think after a time you get like, you start to think about, okay, if I don't have her, right? What would life look like without her? And I just saw the same thing. The same thing was either being by myself or dating, right?
Yeah.
At some point in your life, you're going to want that to stop, right? And I was like, okay, I don't want to do that, right? I can just spend the rest of my life with this person. We connect, we click, we connect, we love each other, we laugh, we have a good time. She's loving, caring, all the characteristics. It just made sense.
What's critical that I feel that a lot of what we talked about today was the value in being able to identify what you want in your life. And how a spouse can complement that, and how you guys can work together to build that. And so I feel like if there's one thing that all the viewers can take from this, men and women, is when you're courting and you're starting to look into who do you want to settle down. I think that's one of the most critical things you look at is what's the lifestyle you want, who do you want to be in this community, in this world, and does the person that you're pursuing match that and complement that. All right, well, take us home.
Man, this was an amazing episode, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We had some amazing gems. I love how you mentioned that you knew when Britt was the one, although you don't believe in love at first sight. That was amazing. How you talk about like Sophie's just mannerism and her humbleness just spoke clearly out to you because of what your dad told you at 8, 9 years old, what to look in a woman, and how Sandy's selflessness made you love her even more and made you know so much more about you, man. So these were some great things. Y'all please share your thoughts. Let us know what you think about like how you knew your spouse was the one. We'd love to hear your feedback and just get to know you more as well. But yeah, man, thank you so much for checking in, and we look forward to having y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace.